The film begins with a scared flight attendant named Jessica on a plane. She is trying to locate the captain but is horrified to find no one around. After searching through the cabins, she eventually finds her colleague Charles at the end of an aisle. Jessica calls out to him, but to her surprise, he suddenly opens the emergency door and jumps out, causing a change in pressure that sucks everything out, including Jessica. It is then revealed that Jessica was just having a nightmare on her way to work with her fellow flight attendant colleagues. They soon reach the airport and make their way to the plane, passing through security scanners without any problems. However, a wealthy couple behind them gets stopped for having a Swiss Army knife in their bag, leading to an argument with the security staff. The movie introduces some passengers who will be on board the flight, including a blind lady with her daughter, a suspicious man acting strangely around a small girl's bag, and a group of 3 friends going on holiday. The plane staff, including Charles as the captain, board the plane. It is revealed that Charles used to date Jessica. As Charles and his co-pilot get the plane ready, the passengers start boarding. Charles informs the passengers that this is the last flight for their company, Ocean Airlines, on this route from Good Luck Island to Singapore. The plane gets ready to take off, and as it ascends, the blind lady suddenly stands up, insisting that they shouldn't be on this plane. Jessica and her colleague quickly go to calm her down. After resolving the situation with the blind lady, one of the flight attendants named Sarah notices a passenger named Dan using his phone during takeoff. She tells him to turn it off, but he asks her to do it for him instead. Sarah sees his text conversation with a woman, but ignores it, turns off the phone, and leaves. The plane experiences turbulence, and Jessica goes to the cockpit to inquire if anything is wrong. Charles assures her everything is fine, and asks her to go back to the aisles and do her job. In the aisle, the suspicious man from earlier appears anxious as he constantly stares at the little girl's backpack. Suddenly, the bag moves. The scene then shifts to Dan, who becomes restless and decides to explore the plane. As he explores, he realizes that there are only 9 passengers on board. He finds Sarah making drinks and starts flirting with her. The two then engage in inappropriate behavior in the bathroom. After their encounter, Dan bumps into his friend's girlfriend, Maggie. Afraid she would find out about his actions, he distracts her by bringing her to a seat to discuss their relationship. It is revealed that Dan is having an affair with Maggie and is asking her to break up with his friend, Tom, so they can be together. However, Maggie tells him that she needs more time. Upset, Dan leaves and Maggie returns to Tom, her boyfriend. While preparing the passengers' meals, Jessica discovers a meal that has already been opened and eaten. Suddenly, one of the cabinets moves and shoots out by itself, narrowly missing Jessica. She hears music from outside and goes to check. She is shocked when the little girl, named Katie, pops out from the seats. But relieved that it's just a child, she carries Katie back to her seat. After attending to Katie, one of the passengers screams in horror upon finding Sarah lifeless on the floor. Jessica immediately informs the other plane crew members. The passengers start becoming suspicious of Dan as someone saw him with Sarah just before her death. Charles controls the situation by declaring the crime scene and instructing everyone to remain in the aisle for the remainder of the flight. However, Jessica, discovering that Tom is a doctor, disobeys Charles's instructions and takes him to examine Sarah's body. Tom reveals scratch wounds on Sarah, indicating she was murdered by some kind of animal. He also notes poison in her wounds, which doesn't make sense, as there is no animal that large with that much poisonous venom. They quickly inform Charles of their findings. Overhearing their conversation, the rich man tells everyone about the rumored murderous animal on the plane, causing panic. Charles regains control of the situation and asks the rich man to go back to his seat. Suddenly, the lights go out, prompting Jessica to volunteer to check the power grid. Tom joins her, and they find the co-pilot murdered on the ground. They quickly inform Charles of another murder. Charles contacts the control station at Singapore for advice, but they can only suggest landing quickly to seek help. Tom suggests informing the passengers, but Charles refuses to avoid causing panic. Meanwhile, the rich man, alone in the first-class aisle with his wife, decides to go to the bathroom. He leaves his drunk wife alone, and she comes out of the aisle covered in blood, poisoned, and attacked similarly to Sarah's murder. the suspicious man goes to take Katie's bag and starts rummaging through it, revealing that he brought a lifeless animal on board. This revelation creates confusion among the passengers. The rich man attacks the suspicious man, and Dan joins in after learning about the creature. Tom tries to intervene, but Dan reveals his affair with Maggie, breaking Tom's heart. Suddenly, a noise is heard, and the suspicious man decides to confront the creature. But he is easily defeated. Another passenger tries to help, but gets attacked as well. The suspicious man wakes up and carries the other passenger down to safety. Everyone goes to attend to their wounds. Later, Maggie goes to find Tom and asks him to forgive her, but he tells her that they should think of how to survive on this plane instead, and leaves. Suddenly, the plane flies through a heavy storm, causing everyone to fall out of their seats. But fortunately, Charles manages to stabilize the plane. However, their problems are not over as they soon learn that the blind lady had been attacked by the creature while the plane was in mayhem. Charles then receives some news about the creature from the control station. It turns out there were many similar plane incidents in the past months, where they had also experienced strange monster attacks. This is why the company wanted to end the flights traveling to Good Luck Island. The captain tells everyone to head upstairs to the first-class aisle, as he is going to try to turn up the heat in hopes of murdering the mysterious creature with it. Everyone starts heading up, but the suspicious man and the female passenger decide to stay as they are unable to move much with their wounds. At the top aisle, everyone barricades the door to ensure their safety. The creature soon finds the suspicious man and the female passenger in the bathroom. So the man pushes the girl out and sacrifices himself to the monster. The female passenger then goes to find the rest at the top. So they quickly open up their barricade for the female passenger to come inside. Why didn't she just follow them in the first place? Surprisingly, the suspicious man manages to survive and enters the top aisle too. The others try to find some water for the injured passengers, but they realize that the rich man had taken all the water away for his wife. This causes a fight to break out between the rich man and the suspicious man, but the man ends up getting murdered by the rich man. Suddenly, the plane goes into major turbulence, and the rich man gets impatient and asks the captain to land immediately. But Charles tells him that the storm is too heavy, and he isn't at Singapore yet, so it isn't safe to land. But the rich man ignores him and asks Jessica to get him and his wife parachutes. As he's about to open the emergency door to jump out, everyone goes to stop him. While in the midst of fighting him, the rich man suddenly gets murdered by the weird creature's tentacles. The rich man's wife goes to her husband, but she too gets taken away by the creature. This scares everyone, so they quickly leave the area. They all decide to hide inside the cockpit with Charles still flying the plane. Moments later, they hear noises outside, so Jessica, Tom, and Dan decide to head outside to end the monster once and for all. They gather as many weapons as they can and wait for the monster to come out. But to their surprise, a black cat comes out instead. But the cat isn't as innocent as it seems, as it immediately attacks them with claws. Soon, all of them get into a battle with the cat creature. Unfortunately, Dan gets murdered by it, and the cat runs away. It then goes to find the others in the cockpit, so Charles leaves his seat and goes to stop it. Unfortunately, he gets attacked by the cat. Although injured, he continues his fight with the creature by walking to the aisle to find it. Elsewhere, Jessica and Tom lure the cat with a toy, but just when they are about to attack it, Charles shows up with a parachute and opens up the emergency door. The pressure sucks both the cat and him out of the plane, but luckily, Charles hangs on to a rope in the plane. Jessica tries to pull him in, but they soon realize that the cat had clung on to Charles's leg. With no choice, Charles sacrifices himself and lets go of the rope, throwing both of them into the plane's turbine engine, finally destroying the evil cat creature. Jessica quickly goes to the cockpit to try to land the plane. Although an extremely bumpy landing, she successfully lands the plane in Singapore, thus saving the remaining passengers' lives. In the next scene, everyone can be seen getting attended to by paramedics, and the movie ends with a black cat emerging from Katie's back.